Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rev and the Filo Show. Here we are once again.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
We have a first timer, my good friend Orlando, who called me this morning, and I just impromptu invited him. So, the first thing I wanted to say was to you, Philopolis.
What's up?
Congratulations on becoming a tío.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Your nephew was born how many days ago?
Yesterday. Well, at the time of this recording,
Uh-huh.
he was born yesterday, February 4th.
February 4th. Well, today's the 5th?
Today is the 5th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how is your brother handling?
Well, he never talks anyway, so I
Manny.
can't really gauge him.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
How's Yvonne?
She's doing okay as far as what I've heard.
And the baby's
Baby's perfect, healthy,
healthy, normal,
healthy little
no
baby.
didn't have any like.
Well, I haven't
setbacks?
got any like the full story yet.
Have you seen him, Lorenzo?
No, just through pictures. But he should be coming home today, actually.
So, how your brother was he? 22?
No, he's 21.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What is some advice that you would give a young father, such as your brother, such as my brother?
Yeah. What I would say is just stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Orlando, when you have a son, right? And how old were you when he was born?
I was 23 when my son was born, and I'm 30 now. So 7 years goes by.
Yeah. And like I told because my mom, she was very nervous about my brother having his kid, and I told her, I understand, like, he's young, and I when my son was born, I was 23.
Yeah.
23. Yeah.
I think it's kind of like perfect age too to like if you are gonna have a kid young.
Yeah, I was just talking to Ash about this, and I said, even though it doesn't seem like we were that far apart when my brother had his kid.
Ash is how many years older than you?
She's 2 years older than me.
Oh shit. Okay.
So, but I told her, like, what's the difference between my mom feeling nervous, because my mom was not nervous with me. Like, I guess everyone thought
Hold on. Talking to the mic.
Check.
So you were saying about your mother not being nervous about you?
Yeah. So, like, and everybody who talked to me, they kind of felt like I had, like, nobody gave me the sense of like they were worried that I was having a kid.
Yeah.
Like, nobody gave me bad, like, energy.
Yeah.
Well, there was this one story, pissed me the fuck off. There's this lady from my girl's church.
Okay.
And she came up to me and she was like, you know what? Like, now you're gonna have to be a man. This and that.
As if you weren't already.
Yeah. And so I told her, I was like, well, I don't even fucking know you. So who the fuck are you? You don't
Yeah.
know me. I don't know you. And then she looked at me like, oh my God, why is he talking to me like this?
Fucking churchgoers, huh?
Yeah.
So easy to tell you what to do.
Just so holier than thou.
Yeah.
Well, let me
You
tell
know what?
You know what? Like, a lot of people throughout the years have come to, even friends of ours that we had at the music center and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, I just found out I'm gonna be a father, or like, hey, I'm a few months away from being due.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you seem to be like doing all right with it. Like any advice you can give. And the first thing I tell them is that, like, never let anyone try to tell you how to raise your kids. Because everyone's a product of their own environment, and you can't tell someone who's lived a completely different life, hey, this is what you need to do with your kids, because you'd be falsifying the way that you live in your house day to day.
Yeah.
And
that's perfect, because that's exactly what I told my brother was. But I told him not really about anybody else, but mainly about the family. And I told him.
Anyone. Yeah.
I told him, look, now that when he found out, that his girl was pregnant, and he came, and then I talked to him. I was like, look, Manny, what's gonna happen now is everyone's gonna tell you, and I don't mean people outside from my family. I mean the family are gonna tell you.
Yeah.
This is what you gotta do. This is what you need. Oh, the baby needs this. Oh, you need to do this for the kid. I go, fuck all of that. Don't even, and even if you want, fuck what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
It's whatever you want to believe, but I'm just giving you some advice.
But you are giving him good advice.
But that's it. There's a difference between, like,
here's
criticism.
what I would say when you're sorry.
No, you're good.
When you're telling Manny, like, you even telling him, like, don't even believe me. Like, I know your point is that question everything and just trust your instinct is what you're telling him.
Yeah.
You know, And sometimes your instinct says, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Maybe I should ask for help. In that case, but instead of saying, don't even listen to what I'm saying, what I would say is, listen to me, because I'm not telling you this for my own personal gain. I'm telling you this because I love you, and no one else is going to tell you this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, in other words, be like, I'm not telling you this. Giving you this information does nothing for me. It's all for you. There's no, I'm not trying to give you information to manipulate you. Sometimes people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people just want that, like,
Yeah.
strength in your life to, like, be in a position where they can tell you, hey, do it the way I'm telling you.
Or the simple way of, I'm just going to tell you what I wish someone told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had
Take it
that
or
talk
leave
with
it.
him. But then Ash and I were talking on how, like, just that difference in years, it's like 2 year difference. I was 22, 1 year difference, really. A year and a half, let's say. I was 22. My brother's 20, 21. And Yvonne, I think, is 1 year older than him. So they're around the same age. And I told Ash, like, what a difference that makes in, like, mindset. Like, I can see my brother.
Now you can realize, like, man,
Yeah.
how you think when you're 22 and how you think when you're 25 is like, it seems like a little gap, but so
man.
much changes,
So
especially
much.
in your brain.
Yeah.
And we were saying, like, how him not talking and she was able to talk to Yvonne and, like, kind of, like, get stuff out of her. But my brother not talking kind of made it seem like, he doesn't know how to ask for help. But it also makes it seem like he's lost and doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. So every now and then I have to kind of tell him, like, yo, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's as a parent, I think it's kind of healthy just to feel that, though, like, to have that, like, uncertainty, because that uncertainty creates, like, a need.
For
you
sure.
know, like it makes you jump to that next level.
For me, like, because I don't have a kid, but my younger brother has a kid. My brother had his kid when he was really young, and his girl got pregnant, and it was pretty, like, nerve-wracking for the family. I can only imagine how he felt, you know what I'm saying? But and I kind of told him the same thing. I mean, I tried to, at least. I don't have any children, so when I found out that he was gonna have a baby, and, like, he was 19 years old, I was like, okay, I'm gonna call this fool, and I can't get. I'm not gonna scold him. The only thing I can do is be like, look. I pretty much told him, your life is not over, because I know that's what you're thinking right now. It's not over. I'm like, it might be a lot more complicated now, because now you have the baby. You got to think about the baby. No one's not going to let you. No one's around. No one here is going to let you be a fucked up dad. So you really don't have a choice unless you book it. But you're not going to do that, because I know you're not going to do that. Yeah. And but if you're gonna,
I'll find you, boy.
Yeah.
We'll track your ass down.
And but I just try to reassure him, like, you're gonna be alright, because like you said, everyone's like, wow, now you got to do this, and everyone's telling you, like, now this is what you got to do. Like, no, now you have to realize on your own what you have to do.
Who you are and what
you are, and you.
A lot of the times too, like, especially when everybody found out that Ash was pregnant, and like all this shit that they were telling me, a lot of the times I just either ignored them, but they eventually stopped telling me shit, because I started to get angry and tell me, hey, you know what, whatever, I know what I gotta do. Just get the fuck away from me. I know what I gotta do. Don't worry about it. He's gonna be fine. He ain't dead. He's alive.
Fuck. This past Christmas, I have an uncle, and he started asking me, like, because I'm a musician, and, like, I do a lot of, like, these projects that don't necessarily generate a lot of income, and I got my job at the MC.
That's the modern musician's story,
he was telling me, you're gonna be 30 years, you're kind of giving me, like, you're 30, and what are you gonna, you got to think about your future and, like, money and how you're gonna secure this and that. And he wasn't wrong, like, he was trying to give me, like, sincere advice.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, I kind of got a little, like, look, like, I know, like, it's all good. Like, I got it. Like, I know what's going on right now. Like, I know I'm 30, and I know what position I'm in, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of got a little snappy, and I kind of felt bad afterwards, because I was like,
at a certain point, I feel like just because we've lived so much and we've seen so much already, when other people try to talk down on us, like, we still haven't experienced enough to know, it's a little condescending.
Because even you know what, my dad or my mom, they don't do that. When I was younger, they used to be like, do this and do that and don't be stupid and this and that. Yeah. But now they don't say anything to me. And they're like, all right, you do you. Like they trust that I can live my own life.
You've been on your own for a long time, I think.
And sorry. Go.
No, I was just gonna say I think that's like the best thing a parent like can experience is like a kid who like goes out into the world out of their wing and like does it on their own. And even if you want to say something, sometimes you're just like, well, I'm doing it for a while.
Yeah, for sure. And I was gonna even say, you said like the best thing for a parent to do is like sometimes it's important to feel that fear because it creates a necessity where you're like sort of fight or flight sort of response.
Yeah.
And because I don't have kids, so I can't really speak on that. But moving out and living on my own for so long and like making my own rent and having to like pay my own bills and all this, like you learn as you go. Like the responsibility I have now is not the responsibility I had when I was like 23, 24, barely living on my own and trying to like support myself.
Yeah.
And like, but like that need and that fear of like, man, I have to pay my rent. I have to be, if I don't, like, I'm going to be fucked and this and that. And just to maintain that, it teaches you a lot,
It does. It creates you a lot. It creates, I feel like our first 7 to 10 years are just as as an adult. Our first 7 to 10 years are just as crucial as our first 7 to 10 years of like being a child, like experiencing, having two people to guide you, or, in some cases having 2 or more people to guide you into your first 7 to 10 years of adolescence to teach you what life is one thing, but I don't think people realize like when you get to adulthood, 21, if you were in a family that was like, hey, you need to figure out your life and get out of here.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
It's
the
like
next 7 to 10 years is just you.
It's like what you said, Rev. That one time you're like, it gets to a point like when you're 19, and then going into 20 in your 20s, like all that people are kind of sympathize for you and they kind of try and guide you to the right direction. Like you might be confused or maybe you're living this life where you think it's fine, and then people are just trying to help you so that when you do get older, you're okay. And then you're like, but then when you're in your 30s and you're still doing the same shit, people start to like look at you like,
well, right,
and like in an ugly fucking, they put you in this ugly like.
Well, even see, I actually did that to myself in terms when I turned 30 because like, I lived a certain way throughout my 20s, like wanting to be a musician and like being in this band and but I also did like a lot of partying and a lot of just like fucking my time off, just but the reason why it never bothered me, a little bit bothered me, is that I was self-aware of it, where I was like, well, right now I'm 25 and 26. I don't have children. I live a certain way. I have enough money to maintain the cheap-ass rent that I paid, which is like borderline impossible nowadays. And, I was kind of self-aware. But then, like, as I got closer to, as soon as I turned 30, I was like, okay, like, scraping by just doesn't look good on a 30-year-old. On a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, it's okay. Yeah. People kind of like, well,
makes
whatever.
Sense,
You're doing it.
You're doing it, and they're doing it, and, it's fine. But when you start hitting 30, everyone's like, maybe not say it to your face, but they're like, all right, motherfucker, what you gonna do? Like, make a move. Like, it's about that time.
I mean, you planning on staying there forever?
I know, sure. You're gonna live in squalor your whole life? Yes. All right, whatever.
Yeah. But going back to being young and having
I was trying to do the Kermit sip.
Going back to having a kid at a young age, the number one thing though that I think people have to understand, that it's like you said, you told your brother, your life is not over.
This is what I remember telling him. Hopefully he remembers it the same. I might have been like, you dumbass motherfucker. What were you thinking?
What are you doing?
Man,
you did what?
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
You want to know the funniest thing? My mom, she's so funny sometimes. You know how she told me? Because she's the one who told me. She texted me a picture, and who knew my mom even knew how to use Photoshop? She texted me a photo of a baby. And she had photoshopped my brother's face on the baby.
Oh, nice.
And she texted it to me, and I was like, what is this, And she goes, it's the future.
No.
And I was like, and at that moment I was like, nah, like she's fucking with me, you know, like it's not that, it's anything but that.
Yeah.
But sure enough, you know.
Oh shit. Well,
what a way to let you know, though.
Yeah, my mom, she's funny like that sometimes.
So you told your brother, your life's not over. So I guess the biggest advice you can give somebody, if you know somebody's young, whether it's a brother, cousin, whatever, family member, friend, just tell them fucking relax. It's not that bad. Just take a step back, take a breather, and don't think to myself, what the fuck am I going to do? Because you're going to figure it out. Everyone figures it out, especially if you have a family that loves you,
Yeah. You know, fuck, that was that's a tough. I still feel for my brother. I he's stepped up and he's doing good. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, dude, because I remember those days where you were like, fuck. Like,
yeah, dude, I was like, oh.
You were all stressed out. I thought he was going to get it, dude.
Because I just was like, man, like, what a life-changing event. And, like, I was worried about it because, like, I'm like, there's no way I can grab him and just, like, use him like a puppet and just do exactly what you know what I'm saying?
And you know
what I want him to do because I know what he needs to do. Thing is, he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
And how can but you can't. You have to just let people grow on their own.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing.
That's that fear.
Yeah,
like we were saying.
It's that fear because you want the kid to grow up.
Yeah.
Okay, you want them to be safe, and you want them to grow up better than what we did, and not do the fucked up shit that we got into. And
yeah.
Even my little brother, Anyways, but.
The other day, the whole scare with the coronavirus and shit.
Oh yeah, you were gonna say
dude. So Ethan has a cold right now, right?
Okay.
Oh.
So me and Ash are a little worried.
Real quick, what's funny is because we were talking yesterday, we were gonna do the podcast, but a bunch of shit came up. One of them being Ethan going to the. So you called me about 10. Oh, I gotta take Ethan to the doctor. Yeah. I'll call you when I'm done. It shouldn't take too long. And then you called me like 2 hours later. I was all high playing Red Dead, and I was like, I was kind of hoping you weren't gonna call me because I was already into it. I'm like, fuck, like man, I don't want to fucking leave this, like. And sure enough, you called me, and it was like, zzz, zzz, and I was like, I kind of looked at it, and then I looked away. Zzz, 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 and I was like, fuck. Zzz, 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 shit, fuck. Hello. What's up, bro?
Well,
no, and I was like, what's up? You're like, yeah, we're done. I was like, well, is everything all right? And you were like, yeah, that fool's a faker. Ethan's a faker, dude. Well, and then I heard Ethan in the back. No, I'm not.
Well, here's what happened. He gets sick, and he has a little trouble breathing at night. So Ash was like, I don't know, maybe we should keep him home from school. I said, all right, but we're going to have to take him to the doctor because they're going to want a note. And I already had let him miss school last week because I was going to work all weekend. And I was like, fuck it, let me spend one day with him.
Yeah.
So I told him I'm going to take him to the doctor. So I check his temperature. His temperature's fine. And then I tell him, you know what? Maybe I should let the school send you home. He's like, no, Dad, I don't feel good. And I was like, all right, let's go to the doctor. So we go to the doctor. Man. Now, the coronavirus, since it's been all over China, people have been on vacation and they're coming back from the Lunar New Year. So some people came back to California and they landed them at the military base in Riverside.
You have to realize too, Monterey Park and San Gabriel Valley.
Yes,
there's a heavy Asian population, right?
Yeah.
A lot of density.
That being said, there was
also not just people coming back from China, but people from China. The vacation, they'll come here.
Yeah.
And like it because it's sort of like
Chris
Rock said in Rush Hour, just like home. Just like home, right?
So prior to this, there was a case that was confirmed here in Alhambra. Now we live in San Gabriel. We're just a city over.
Right.
Yeah.
So everyone's on edge.
This is all in California for our anyone who doesn't live in California that listen to us, which I imagine is no one.
So. I take Ethan to the doctor. We go down. There's people in masks. There's people, coughing, and so now knowing what's going on in current events, I'm thinking to myself, holy shit! Like I start
so
to
well
feel
read.
I'm starting to feel like
you start to feel these baby symptoms.
Yeah, dude. And I'm telling you, get the fuck away from people.
And then what's funny is like, don't you start doing that, right? And, but didn't you feel a little racist?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Oh my god.
Like, man, I'm giving in to this stereotype.
The internet did not hold back any punches for the whole thing.
Dude, and I'm like out of fear, getting angry with Ethan and time. Don't touch that! Don't fucking touch that! So anyway, we.
I forgot you're telling that story.
Yeah.
I thought we were just talking about.
So they call us in. We go into they check him out. They're like, he's got no fever. he's got a cold. He's fine. His temperature's fine. You know, bring him in. If his temperature does get above 100.4, then that would be a true fever. Okay, fine. Then the doctor looks at me and she goes, "Didn't you guys just move to San Gabriel?" And I was like, yeah, we did. And she was like, "Okay, just make sure you guys are covered." And she like tries to rush out. She's like, "Okay, just make sure you guys are covering up." She's like, "Because you know why, huh?" And she just walks away.
The doctor said that?
She said that while she's pulling away and running out the door already.
"Okay, just make sure you cover up." And then just leaves.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just sitting there like, what the fuck?
I mean,
just left her like.
That's weird.
Dude, so it made me feel like, holy shit, my doctor, even
the
doctor did not want to be around.
She was like, she ran through the door like her shape of her in the door, like a cartoon, like. Oh man.
Yeah, dude, and that's when I realized, like, holy shit, like, yeah, it seems far away, the virus. It doesn't seem like it's super serious, yet it is. But there's like this weird.
You know what's funny? As I was. There's a girl, I don't know if I should say her name, but there's a girl we work with at the MC, and I was speaking to her about, and she actually is the one who brought it up. She's from Vietnam, and she lives in Chinatown over there, right? And she was like, I don't know, we were talking about a lot of different things, and then she brought up the coronavirus, and she goes, yeah, you know, people aren't taking that seriously, but they should take it seriously. And I'm like, really? I'm like, where do you live? And she goes, I live in Chinatown, so I'm fucking worried, you know. And I was like, damn, like, And she's
like, I'm in the trenches.
Yeah, I'm fucking taking grenades, and yeah, she was genuinely like, people need to take it seriously because they're not, and they think it's a joke, but it's not.
Well, I mean,
you see someone cough and she jumps behind a bus stop.
Yeah, she like grabs me and uses me as a shield.
But look, I'll tell you something right now, and you know what? It's, going back to like, you think it's far away. I work at the airport. I work at LAX.
Ooh,
so right now,
you're on the front lines,
bro. You know what? The crazy thing is that right now everyone has all these. There's actually a big market right now for design face masks.
I kid you not.
Yeah, like
I kid you not. You know, my parents run the. I think I told you this. They run the
Safety Vibe.
The Safety Vibe PPE, personal protective equipment. So they sell like respirators and masks. They sell.
I would imagine they're booming with all that right now.
Listen to this. You know the masks they have, the like surgical masks?
Yeah.
Those don't do shit.
No, yeah.
So my mom had these masks, and they're just have this little padding in them, but they're called antiviral masks. And she said that they had a pallet of them, and they put them on Amazon for like, I don't know how much, but they put it on Amazon. The whole pallet sold out in 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, you should probably ask your parents to stash them away for you guys.
Yeah,
and maybe for the Rev Filo Show.
Maybe send you maybe bring a couple pallets this way.
They do work right there, like on the border of
Mr.
Monterey
and Mrs.
Park
Don, if you're listening, Rev Filo Show would surely appreciate the
We're
pack.
trying to survive.
Rev Filo, post-apocalypse.
We're still trying to do the show when the world ends.
Honestly, my parents like the warehouse that they have. You know, it's a small little warehouse, but it would be a good, perfect stronghold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just to fight it all off.
All we gotta do is they have a refrigerator. All we gotta do is stock. They got a restroom.
We tell Zao will be the military general.
Yeah.
We'll be the.
I ain't inviting. Well, maybe Daniel Zhao is the guy to have on your side.
So yeah, he can cook.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He would be the first person I'd call.
He's
Here's my question:
has an armory.
Are we now treating this like it's 28 days later?
I'm just saying
we're gonna hold up in there.
I'm just saying it's serious.
It's
not that serious.
No,
but it could get serious.
So like I said, like I work in the Delta terminal, so.
Mississippi Delta terminal?
Yeah, Mississippi Delta terminal. So there's, in any given day, there's so many flights coming in from so many different areas. Some flights need to get reloaded into a different area because there's something going on at a certain terminal. So at any moment, if there was someone carrying this virus when they came back, even in its early stages where like they can't be detected or whatever, they're intermingling with so many different people going to so many different places. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Planet of the Apes, not like the new ones that came out.
Yeah, the
James
one
Franco,
where
you see how the virus was created.
Yeah,
and you see at the end, you see someone going on a flight, and you start to see these fly patterns cross, and you see like the planes crossing all over, and you see how just from starting at one point where it's at, if you get to somewhere like an airport, and people have this.
Yeah.
You're sending like potentially like everywhere.
It's funny because there's this game called Plague Inc. It's for the phone. You can get this.
That's why, like, when there is like scares or warnings, like that, they shut down airports and shit.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they had like, I'm surprised they're not taking it more seriously.
Well,
over
because
where I'm
at. Because imagine, I think, this has to do with like not creating a panic. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to downplay shit.
And they're trying to contain it.
As they're trying to contain it, they're trying to keep everyone calm. So if they do something like shut down all the airports, no one's allowed to leave the country, people start being like, wait a minute, what? Yeah. Like, hold on, like.
Not to mention that family that are visiting places at any given time are closed off from whoever.
Yeah, and then you have the people online. Like there's certain people who believe in conspiracies. They're like, oh my God. No, they're trying.
Didn't you say you had a conspiracy article?
Oh yeah, I do, but we'll get to that.
It has nothing to do with. Anyways, what were you gonna say?
No, I was saying, you got people like, well, no, you know what? The government did this, and
we know someone like that.
There's a patent for the coronavirus, and it's real.
Shit.
But there's been several strains of the coronavirus for like years.
Yeah,
this is just the newest
here's why it's serious and not so serious.
Yeah.
So the coronavirus is just a strain of a coronavirus. So this coronavirus, they don't even have a name for it because it's so brand new. It's 2019.
Why do they call it the coronavirus?
Because the virus itself, when you look at it through a microscope, it looks like it has a crown. It has this like spiky all over all over its sides. Anyway, so it's not really doesn't really have a name. That's why they're just calling it the coronavirus.
Well, what does corona mean other than
crown,
shitty beer?
Crown.
Okay. I didn't know that.
That's a little crown on the coronavirus.
In what language?
In Spanish.
In Spanish? Spanish or Latin?
One of those.
What a disgrace I am to my
one
people.
Of those.
Anyway,
one of them.
They're similar. Anyway,
no, I'm just kidding. It's Spanish.
So the reason why it's not so serious, yet it's serious, is because it is like the flu. It's almost exactly like the flu.
Yeah, someone told me. I think the girl I was talking to at work, I said, "What is the coronavirus?" She goes, "It's the flu."
Yeah.
I was like, "The flu?" Like we're good with the flu. We're good.
So
I got the flu 3 weeks ago. I just fucking locked myself in my room.
We already have the flu
Came
over
to
here.
the bed, sweating it out, and then I was good.
Here's where it gets crazy. This particular strain of the coronavirus is very infectious. Like it's you can because they don't know if the incubation period, which means like when you can transfer from another person and then you start showing symptoms, it's really long. It varies from like a week to 3 days.
Yeah.
So you might not even know you have it and then start spreading it to other people, as opposed to the flu and getting it and then you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna lock myself up. I don't want to get anybody sick.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, this strain is it's so brand new that there's no vaccination for it. So a lot of elderly people and younger children are susceptible. Susceptible. Yeah, susceptible.
I can't say susceptible.
Yeah. to this potentially being lethal because their immune systems are just not as strong enough.
Right.
Now, people that are like 20 to like 30, sometimes even 40, are going to be okay, but they
can still carry it.
Yeah, they can still carry it and infect others without knowing it, even after you're free of the virus or whatever. There was, so that's why it's so serious. But you don't want to panic too much because it's not that lethal. Yeah. People that are dying in China are mainly the older people, and there is a lot because they're so overpopulated.
They're so densely overpopulated
that they're older, and then they have a lot of pollution, so their lungs are just not as great. Like there was an article the other day that said, all the things, the criteria of like what could potentially kill you if you got the virus. Yeah, and it's first of all, the main lethality is pneumonia. Pneumonia will kill you. It'll give you pneumonia. And then if you're smoking, drinking, you're all of that lowers
all the fun stuff.
Yeah, all the fun shit. Yeah. You're doing all that. That's what's going to kill you because then the virus will attack you.
We're done. System. Good thing we're fucking not old or children.
Right?
Yeah. See, so right now it's perfect for us. This shit hit perfect. We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
But it's the older folks like my dad.
Sergio gonna be all right.
I got 22 kookaroos.
23 kookaroos. Y'all ain't got one kookaroo. Man, that's crazy.
But then again, what the fuck do I know? Doctor.
I mean, like, and how could you believe anything you read online?
Like, that's and the fucked part.
We live in an age of such like misinformation. Like there's so much information that it's so easy to be misinformed.
I think it's not even just it's just being misinformed. It's being mishandled, missold. You know, I've been watching there's a docu series on Netflix, and it's called Broken, and it's kind of about how a lot of like areas that are profiting off, you know, cheap markets, you know, like cosmetics that they sell cheap, but they're really knockoffs.
Yeah.
You know, IKEA, big part of it. Because they're kind of like the dark side of some of these corporations, you know, or like the makeup industry, you know, like with these like knockoff products.
Yeah.
Kind of, or also how like recycle, you know, the world that's being consumed in plastic, you know,
right.
How a lot
I like when everything was made of tin. Those were the days.
right. Well, hey, that's why we're going back to these bad boys.
All right, that's true.
That's right.
Hey, people are starting to get the gist, man. But the interesting thing is that, you know, the whole plastics one, you find that the people that started the recycling venture were the people from the corporations, like, you know, all the soda industries, all the other people using one use plastics, kind of created, instead of like taking responsibility, it was, hey, you guys need to pick up this mess.
Oh, interesting. Right. Okay.
Yeah, because Jrat told me like this is not the same, little different. The subject's a little different, but almost the same. Whereas like the spray cans, they changed their tips. Something about them changing their tips, because you could before, I guess you could just grab the tip. And then, like, if you liked a certain tip, you could just grab it and put it on another spray can, and then you could spray. So now they're kind of changing that so that you can only use it once. And then also, you know, they have them locked up, and you have to be a certain age to buy them or whatever because of graffiti, and they're trying to fight graffiti. But the real reason they're doing all this is because they lost a lawsuit. There's a big company, a spray painting company, that lost a lawsuit. So anytime there's a graffiti on like on a building, and they're a big enough corporation that can win the lawsuit, they can sue that company and gain money from them. So they're constantly paying off people for graffiti damages.
Oh, shit.
So by you saying that Coca-Cola went to like these one-use plastic bottles and were like, hey, you guys got to recycle, was a good way of getting people off their fucking backs about using the plastic bottles. Potentially maybe getting sued for fucking up the planet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Kind of made it like our
problem.
Then
when we don't do it, everyone was like, "Well, why aren't you recycling? You vicious monster! You must hate the earth."
They turned on us. We're looking at each other like we're scumbags.
Hold on! I didn't make this fucking bottle.
I just bought it.
And you see the Coke guys in the back, like,
that's right.
That's right. And you're gonna buy another one.
And then you see Coke. We started the recycling initiative.
Scumbag.
Let's come together as a community. You fucking scumbags.
Damn.
You stupid sheep.
Fucking conspiracy. You want to hear another conspiracy? Let's see. I found this article. I think you might like this one, Orlando.
Oh, man.
Let's
probably.
see here.
If it's a conspiracy,
So scientists say UFOs.
I'm sorry. Go.
UFOs might be Earthlings from the future.
Damn. You know, and I brought this up before. There's a video. It's not a real video of the. Well, I mean, they say it's not a real video. Of an alien getting interviewed by like the CIA. It's like an old video, and where they say that he's actually from the future.
Yeah,
and that
I remember that video.
Yeah, and that he's from the future, and that they're descendants of what human beings once were. Yeah, once were human beings. Like we're like ancient descendants or whatever. Like and that the reason why they've changed so much is because of like nuclear fallout and shit. Yeah. So anyways, that's all.
Yeah, well, because you know the difference between a UFO and an alien, right? With like
absolutely.
The technical.
Well, anything could be a UFO. It's just unidentified flying object.
Yeah, most people get confused.
And an alien is, you know, not from the United States.
I constantly tell my parents when they're looking up in the sky, and they're like, "Oh my God, an alien," and I'm like, "No, it's just a UFO. It's unidentified."
You know, there's a UFO that I see in the sky. Well, it's not a UFO because it's not flying. It's actually like in space. But it only happens, like sometimes we have to get up like at 5 a.m. To go to work, right? Mm-hmm. So I get up to get the train. So it's still dark, like really dark. So I don't know if that's during the summer or the winter. I don't know. Anyways, there's this really fucking bright light in the sky. It's a star, but it's so fucking bright.
It's like almost right by the moon, right?
Something like that? It's not by the moon. It's just I only ever see it at that time of night in the sky, and it's like way. it's just way brighter than everything else in the sky. Oh, and it's not. It looks almost like a plane. You know how you see like planes and helicopters in the sky, but then they always have blinking lights.
Yeah,
and that's how you know. But this is just one bright light, and like I've talked to Jrat about it.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the day I noticed it, the same day is Jrat noticed it, because I told Jrat, hey, I saw this fucking thing in the sky. He's like, bro, I saw that shit too, and he took a picture of it. You know, Jrat, he's worse than I am.
Yeah.
He's he's.
Yeah.
He practically wears 10 on his head.
You know, it's funny though. I think I know what you're talking about, because I've taken pictures like that too on my phone.
But it's funny how we're just starting to notice it. Yet it looks like something that obviously has been in the sky. Since Earth has been around. Yet we're barely noticing it.
Well, there was this one weird light that happened here actually. We were clearing out the garage, whatever we could, and my brother was helping. I was rolling up the extension cords, right? And my brother was supposed to help me like straighten them out. And then while I'm doing it, he's like looking up in the sky, but he doesn't have his glasses on, so he's just like staring up, like mouth open and shit. and I'm like pulling out, and I start to get mad. I'm like, hey man, what the fuck are you looking at? Help me out. He's like, oh, I'm sorry.
He's all like, you just see a light come down. They start beaming them up.
Yeah. Well, he looks and he goes, sorry, I'm looking at this weird cloud. It's like it looks weird, and this is at night. And I look up. I go, that's not a fucking cloud. And then it was like, it almost looked like a train in the sky. Like it was like a long light. Yeah, it looked like a train, dude. Like it was up in the sky.
There's a bunch of lights.
It had a bunch of lights, and it was just long sideways, right? It didn't. I couldn't tell if it was wide, how thick it was, how long it was. I mean, you could just see how long the lights were. And then it's just flying through the sky, like straight up in front of my house, just straight all the way. And then it went to the moon.
Yeah.
And then
it went to the moon.
Yeah, like it looked like it was going towards the moon. Yeah, dude.
It
went to the moon.
Yeah, dude. It went straight to the moon. Anyway,
one of these days.
So it kept going, and then almost like a train goes into a tunnel. It looked like it went right behind the moon, and then like it just started to disappear. It never came out the other end, but it just disappeared.
It's like it went through a tear in the sky into another dimension.
Exactly. And then I look around, and now at this point it was me, my parents, Ashley was out, my brother.
Like everyone just comes out, just like
we're all just staring up, and then Ethan is like. Ethan, when he sees us, he's like, "It's aliens!" And he just runs straight into. He went straight into the house.
I don't know what you guys are doing. Might as well have been
holy shit!
Might as well have been the people on top of the building in Independence Day standing with signs.
Yeah, I know. And I started laughing because I was like, "Where the fuck are you going? You're just gonna. I mean, even if you're afraid of aliens, they're gonna get down here. They're gonna find you afraid in your room."
You see, he didn't take off in like a little jet. He's like, and he goes, "Hello, boys. I'm back."
Oh shit. Anyway,
it's aliens. It's aliens.
Hey, that's good survival instincts.
It's like, I don't know what y'all doing.
Yeah, he was like, "Fuck that! I'm not staring at it. I'm gonna fuck out of here.
I'm gonna live on.
Shit.
I'm gonna survive."
That's good stuff.
But you know, it's
so what's the conspiracy again?
So Michael Masters, professor of biological anthropology at Montana Technological University of Butte, long ass name. He thinks UFOs are piloted by humans from the future and not aliens from another planet.
Okay.
There's no, and the only reason why he believes this, and some other scientists believe this, because there's no hard evidence to believe that these UFOs are from another planet, and that we could just be mistaken, and because there's no evidence of humans coming from the future, that it is plausible that they're in the sky and they're avoiding us because they're from the future.
They know that if they go down, they could alter, like, but isn't even them being noticed, like, or maybe it's part of the cycle of, but I mean, if they're just going back in time and then not altering anything.
I mean, who's to say they're like omnipotently like intelligent or whatever? You know, they're on this level where, you know, we're like we've seen above it all.
Right.
They could just be done. You know, I mean, there's a lot of unintelligent people that are like,
you know, in the
wealthy,
like, remember in the Jetsons that how they live up in like these tall sky like towers where everything's up in the sky above the clouds. You know what I'm saying?
You know, that's part of like that comes into like the whole conspiracy thing with that, and it's really interesting because they did a match, like they did a mashup of the Flintstones and the Jetsons,
right?
And it was kind of like the supporting theory that a lot of people had, that the Flintstones was actually, in a post-apocalyptic world,
right?
Like
because they have a lot of like modern day
references,
not just references, but technology.
Yes,
but that's sort of went back into like
a Stone Age,
like a Stone Age, but everything's like
the understanding of things that like automobiles,
right, and also like the way what are those things called, like cogs and like almost like a steampunk, but done with like rocks and the Stone Age
and
thing.
animals and stuff. Yeah.
So when they did this matchup, it kind of became this like whole thing where, well, maybe these are the people that like dipped out when everything got bad, came back and re-civilized, but the ground was so like unstable and everything from
everything's just rocks.
Yeah, so they live all the way up high,
Well, talking about why that might not be from other planets is, or as opposed, they might be coming from Earth, just from the future. And this is something I've wanted to bring up in the podcast before, but I'd always felt like a random subject, but I'm glad that you're bringing it up now. I can bring it up naturally.
All right.
I'm sure Orland, you might have heard of it. You might have heard of it too. But there's something called I think it's called the Fermi paradox, or the Fermi paradox. Or I think it's called Fermi.
Yeah, Fermi.
So the Fermi paradox is that based on the size of the observable universe and how many planets there are actually existing in the universe within all the galaxies and all the galaxies that exist, that statistically, just going by the numbers, it's statistically impossible that we're the only people or only life in the entire universe. It's statistically impossible. So the reason why they call it a paradox is that though it's statistically impossible, it is what, at this point, we're the only people that we know of that exist in the universe. So that's why it's a paradox. This is impossible, yet it's reality. You know what I'm saying? It's exactly what it is.
Well, there's a big so everyone loves the Men in Black. It's become revered. Like household.
Has it become revered?
To me,
I don't know if revered is the right word.
If Tommy Lee Jones is in a movie, God damn it!
I think you mean like culturally significant, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
I was talking to Felipe about this the other day. I said, when that movie came out, I was like, 8 years old, 9 years old. It was like 97, and I remember when Will Smith was the draw. He was the one saying all the jokes. He was the funny one. It was like, and I was telling Felipe, it's funny. The first Men in Black, it really stands up. Like
absolutely.
It's what it stands the test of time, or it holds up. That's what I'm saying.
It holds up.
It holds up as a movie. It's really funny. It's action packed.
Yeah.
But I realized now that I'm older, the funny guy is actually Tommy Lee Jones. He's the one. His total deadpanness is really where a lot of the humor derives. And I find myself now as an adult finding him to be the hilarious one.
Absolutely. But so reason I bring that up, you go into the realm of conspiracy, and man, you could definitely sit down in front of your computer one day and take the full dive, down the rabbit hole. And the whole thing is that it starts to be like, oh well, there is a real Men in Black, and they're covering up stuff. And whether you believe there's a Men in Black, at some point,
it started off as a comic book, right?
Yeah,
it was a comic book first.
Yeah. Oh no, the movie. Yeah,
the movie
Before
was
it was
based on a comic book, right?
But they say it was, there's actually been people that have reported, even before the movie, there have been people who reported these mysterious figures that were dressed in black. Yeah. And it was to investigate alien paranormal.
There was actually a real story that I looked up that was very recent, and it happened. Damn, this was a while back. I forgot what podcast I talked about it, but there was the story out of Texas, I believe, where there was this, and nobody's sure if this is fake or not. Yeah. But there was this law firm where the secretary was in the front. Everyone had went out to lunch, and so she was holding down the office, and some guy walked in. And she immediately knew what was going on, so you could see panic in her her movements and gestures that she was doing. And then you see she tries to grab a gun. And then before she could do that, the guy just kind of put his hand out, And then she kind of stopped and she got into like this trance. And,
then
she just walked out with them and they never saw her again.
What? Yeah. And this was at an office?
Yeah, it was like a law firm.
And nobody got up to be like, hey!
No, well, nobody was there. She was the only one.
And there's footage.
There's footage
of it.
Yeah. Damn, that's... See, so the whole interesting thing at some point, because, and there's people that have talked about it on air, maybe lost their job, who knows, whatever, but like it kind of becomes a thing where is the real conspiracy whether or not aliens exist, or whether or not you continue to believe the government and the media that tell you
silent weapons for quiet wars,
because look at these videos online too, and like there's like, oh, person from the future or something, this and that, and immediately the first thing you're thinking, like everyone else is like, okay, bullshit.
Yeah.
So right. But what if like there's even if some of them are like just crazy, what if there was one guy who's listen, I'm really from the future, guys.
One of them, I know, he's like, no.
I even know because I've seen the videos. Okay, I know there was fakers.
I mean, how could you ever? We live in, like I said earlier, we live in a world of just so much misinformation that we've gotten to the point now where it's just like, well, how could you believe anything?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows what to believe, because anyone could say anything and claim it as truth.
Yeah.
And like, I think back in the day, that's why back in the day, I'm talking about like 19th century, Old West, and on even before that, anytime before really the dawn of the industrial era, is that there was a lot of con men. There was a lot of con men back in the day because people were so used to just believing shit, like people were just they just believed anything. And like now we reached a point where we don't believe anything. It's you know what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
even if it is true, some people still have their doubts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even when people did believe, I mean, there was still like that like conspiracy behind the like scenes. Like Spike had a really good series. Like it was like a 3-episode series. It was on King Tut, but it was kind of like guy had action in there. It was a good show. It was a good watch.
What was it? Was it a show?
It was called Tut. Yeah.
Tut.
I mean, you could probably still find it like if you have like Spike that you could meet like stream or something.
It's funny we're talking about this because I told you I started watching a show called The Outsider.
Oh.
It's
HBO, right?
It's HBO. HBO always putting out. I like it. I looked it up. It's getting like some love. It has like a 79%.
If you're listening HBO, that's 2 shows.
That's already. 2 shows already. I love HBO, dude. Keep it coming, home box office. And it's a show about. It starts off as like a regular sort of like cop homicide, where it's about this detective trying to solve this homicide in a small town.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
about. And there's a guy, and it starts off just regular, right? But now I'm into the 5th episode, and it's written by Stephen King, so it has supernatural elements, and there's a character who she's a private investigator, and it's gotten to a point where she's gonna be like, okay, there's something going on here that's otherworldly, like that's more than we can comprehend. And she says, like, in order for you to believe what I'm telling you, you have to like just believe me. You just have to believe me. You have to abandon reason. And you have to just allow yourself to imagine that you live in a reality where this is the truth, where things like this exist, instead of the way you think right now. And it's weird how you could just change your mindset and be like, well, if I just believe this, who's to say it's not true? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think, because like as someone who kind of like likes to dive into the whole conspiracy, there's a lot of like bizarre stuff you see, but there's also a lot that you like there's certain truths that you find there if you find the right sources, and it really just becomes a point of you allowing yourself to believe the possibility that it could happen.
Or also choosing what to believe. I mean, you don't have to believe the whole story, but maybe there's parts of it that
exactly.
Possible,
right.
Is there an alien body, or several alien bodies at Area 51? Probably not. Have they ever, had anything to do with any kind of like thing like that? Possibly.
Yeah.
I heard something about Thomas Jefferson. I think it was Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Who was a very religious, like Christian man, right? Read the Bible and was a very admirer of Jesus. But I heard that he actually edited his own Bible to where he took all the teachings of Jesus, but he removed all like the miracle stuff, all the stuff of him like turning water to wine, walking on water, all like the more
all the little like much
all like the
stuff.
other like otherworldly stuff that doesn't actually exist, like can't actually happen in real life as far as we know it.
Yeah.
And he removed all that and just left in the teachings of be kind and the 10 Commandments and all these things, because he felt that I don't know, maybe like confused people where people started to abandon reason. You know what I'm saying?
Because like,
so
okay,
he thought this Bible was better because it's rooted more in reality. Therefore, people can use the teachings without overthinking it, I guess. You know what I mean?
Well, I can't hold up to Jesus' level. I mean, the guy turned, water into wine.
Right. Well, no one can. But
that's kind of the thing. No, I'm saying.
Well,
like,
that's kind of like the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he doesn't seem supernatural. He was just this guy with like high standards or more, or not even high standards, but just a way of thinking where.
Yeah, just a solid moral.
What was I saying? Didn't I say like I was talking to you about something where I was having an issue with someone, and I said to you, how many times can I turn the other cheek? You know what I'm saying? And then I was like, even Jesus went into that fucking temple and started flipping tables, and he's Jesus, goddammit. What the hell,
Even Jesus had a threshold.
Even Jesus had even he had a boiling point. Surely I must have one.
You just gotta believe, man.
Yeah.
Oh, but so I had brought up that King Tut thing because at the end of it all, after he dies, they kind of just they're like, hey, well, listen, he was making too much change, took away the power from the temples and the priests, took away power from the military generals who were all abusing their authority. So the vizier, marries his sister, says, okay, we're gonna ditch this guy somewhere no one can find him. And we're just gonna kind of slowly reiterate, the story and the hold that we had on everyone, because the church was the priests were working with the military generals that were working with the vizier, before he took reins of like his empire, and they kind of just kept the people in their story.
Right,
it's crazy.
So now we have technology, and it becomes like a web of like what they're throwing out, what other people are throwing out, just to like say what they think they know, and then what actually is. Yeah, and then what actually is, and we have the access to all of it, but it's just what we choose to believe when we look at these 3 different options that we have.
Mind blower. Science. I wish I had the fucking science. Anyway. Hey, Orlan, you're pretty good at podcasting, bro. I gotta hand it to you.
Hey, thanks, bro. I was actually gonna.
Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
We might have to have you back. I think our wonderful audience.
Damn, you know who we need to bring him back with? Jrat.
Jrat.
A little conspiracy off.
Oh, dude, me and Jrat.
I'll start zoning out, dude. I'll start zoning out because I'm like, man, I can't even. Because I have an issue paying attention as it is. But and then we smoke weed, and I'm just like,
honestly,
like they start talking, and it's like slowly, like their voices fade, and it just turns into.
Yeah, dude, that sounds great, man.
Yeah, man. Well, Filo, congratulations.
The Theo
Filo, aka Tilo. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And good luck to Yvonne and your brother. I actually really like Yvonne and your brother. I don't know that well, but he seems like a decent fellow.
He's cool once you get him talking, if you can do that.
Anyway, you seem a decent man.
You seem a decent man. I'd hate to kill you. You seem a decent man. I'd hate to die.
All right, man. Well,
all right, Orlan. Any last words? Any final thoughts?
Hey, be open to anything and make smart choices.
And I like to say, if I could quote the nun from Red Dead Redemption 2, life is full of pain, Mr. Morgan, but there's also love and beauty.
End it there.
Stupid video game.